His mustache doubled as a celebrity detector.
I've told this story, when Matt and Ben won for Good Will Hunting at the Golden Globes, and they're big Boston Celtic fans. This was the Larry Bird era of the Celtics, and Pat was the halftime guy for the NBA. So they watch Pat all the time on the NBA. So when they walk into the room, Pat says to him, like Pat would always say, "How great is this?" Because that's the way Pat always started. And they said about as great as being with Pat O'Brien. That's all you needed to know right then. We had the great equalizer. E.T. was Goliath, and we were David. And they had all the great time periods. They'd been on the air forever. They were very competitive, just like I was, and you were, and Pat was. And we wanted to take them down so badly. And we did everything we could. But once you stuck Pat out in the red carpet, everyone else is behind the bushes.
Pat would walk out around the fence, stand on the red carpet in front of the barricades, and no one had the balls to tell him to go back. He just didn't tell that.
He didn't care, and I was all for it, of course.
And all the other shows would go, "No fair, there's Pat. He's not allowed."
That's right. Pat was one of them.
That's
he
true.
was a celebrity
in his own
right. Okay? And for that time, he was incredible. I know Pat had problems later on when he left the show and all that, but he really saved the show. That show could have been off the air in 1 year. We had such a bad first year. And then when when they couldn't beat us, so they decided to pay Pat. They paid him like $4 million to go to The Insider, a show that lasted just a couple of years. It kind of ruined Pat because all of a sudden he had free reign to do anything he wanted.
Well, we all know.
And he's up at the Four Seasons in New York. There's a bar downstairs, and it didn't end well for Pat there. And thankfully he recovered and everything was fine. But he left. And I remember speaking to Jeff Zucker, who was running. By the way, you should have Jeff Zucker on this show.
I asked him just a few weeks ago. He said right now he can't. And I said, is that because they're going to hire you to run?
He could talk all about the landscape of everything.
I think they're going to try and hire Jeff Zucker for CBS, CNN, the whole new David Ellison group, because CBS News will come in. Now, does Barry Weiss take over and run CNN too, as well as CBS News? Or do they put in a Zucker above? Yeah. That was my feeling, and he said, I can't now, but I will, soon enough. We'll get together.
He'd be a great guest.
And I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Maybe there's an announcement, and then we'll do it. But I'm going to stay on top of him. He did text me right back.
Well, he's great.
But I know what you're saying. It then led to me, and I replaced Pat O'Brien, which I was not ready to do. And I fought tooth and nail, and I said, I do not want to do this.
You were fine that night. Remember, we went, no, but then we went to some bar, and we ran into the woman from Page Six, Paula Froelich, or whatever, who used to go after you all the time, and we ripped her in the bar, or whatever.